In today's class, we will be learning about the change in the importance of sectors. As we all know that initially most of the people were employed in the primary sector itself. What is the reason for that? We know that human beings were hunter gatherers, and from there they started settled life, and along with that came the agriculture also. So most of the people were employed in primary sector in the initial stages. And later on, the techniques or methods of farming improved, and because of that they could produce more from the agricultural field, and that has led to the development of other sectors like that craft and buying selling activities. All this developed because they could got more leisure time, and that leisure time they might have used for other creative activities, and that has led to the development of secondary or tertiary activities. So all over the world, primary sector was the sector which got importance, and gradually there was importance to the secondary sector. And we have learned that when agricultural production, in case of the cotton for example, increased, industrial revolution took place. So people from the villages migrated to the towns, and now most of them are working in either in factories, and it is in secondary sector. So our manufacturing sector became more important. In the common pattern, first it was primary sector, and then the secondary sector became more important. But in the recent trend, that is in the last 100 years, it is a tertiary sector. What is the reason? As I told, there was enough development in primary and secondary sector. So in order to support the primary secondary activities, the necessity of tertiary sector is more important. So that led to the development of tertiary sector. And now in terms of total production, it is more number of people are working in the tertiary sector. So that this is the historic pattern. So what will you write about historic pattern? As I told, it is the primary sector which developed in the initial stages, then the secondary sector developed because of the development in primary sector, more people are employed in the secondary sector, and over the last 100 years it is the tertiary sector or the services sector which is more important, or it is giving more output as well as employment opportunity. In the last part we have seen, over the last 100 years it is the tertiary sector which is important. And now let us see what is the reason for the importance of tertiary sector over the last 100 years. There are mainly 5 factors responsible for that. We'll be analyzing one by one. It is given as 4 points in the textbook, but these days, as we know, in the question paper you will get 5 marks question, so we have to write it in 5 different points. So the first thing, it is given that we are analyzing the reasons for the importance of tertiary sector over the last few years. First reason is that the basic services. In the last part we have seen what is this basic services, like the hospitals, educational institutions, post and telegraph, all this. In the last part we have seen that the requirement for these basic facilities is one of the reasons for the development of tertiary sector. And the second reason is that the developments in agriculture and industry, we have seen that this has led to the development of tertiary sector, as it is aiding the primary sector and secondary sector. Transportation, trade, storage, and all these are very much important for the development of primary and secondary sector. Hence that this tertiary sector also developed. Again, what is the third reason? Third reason, we know that the demand for services like eating out, tourism, shopping, etc. increased due to the high income levels of the people. So when people started getting more income, they utilized the income for all these purposes, and this all comes under the services sector. So that is another reason for the rising importance of tertiary sector. And the fourth reason is that the development of technology. We know that these days IT in communication, all that has become very important because it is comparatively a new field where people are getting employment. So that is another reason, the development of new sectors like IT and technology and communication. Then the last one, that though it is given as separately, we will write it as the fifth point. That is, all many different kinds of people can be employed in the tertiary sector. It can employ highly skilled people, and it can employ others who are not very skilled, people like shopkeepers, repair persons, transport persons, all that can be, or any kind of people can be accommodated very easily in the tertiary sector. So these are the reasons why the tertiary sector has become very important. So from today's content, you can write two questions. First one is, what reasons can be given for the development of tertiary sector? What reasons can be given for the development of tertiary sector? And the next question, it is from the previous slide, explain the historic change that took place in the development of sectors. Explain the historic change that took place in the development of different sectors. So two questions from today's class, and already I have given three questions in the previous part, although I told four questions, only three questions you have to write in your notebook. So altogether it is 5 questions.